And don't even get me started when once we were in Ohio, like I think most of the ensemble got sick.
Oh my God. I did hear about that. Do you remember that, Lucas? Like hearing about that?
I remember that. I think, didn't another group get sick too?
The same year?
I don't remember.
I think in the same year, another group also got really, really sick.
I remember hearing about that because I remember, you know, me with my high school friends, you know, we're just chilling around. We're like, yo, like Pulse might be screwed. Yeah, yo, hot new gossip. Yeah, Pulse might be screwed. Like everyone's getting sick. Like I'm like, how do you guys even know this? You know? So
yeah, it was that. I forgot which performance it was, but we had like buckets, some cement buckets to hold down the props, right? And we would put extra buckets back there, like puke buckets. Like, hey, if you need to like release yourself in the middle of the show, it's back there for you. And then like right after that, a few of them went to the hospital to get checked out, and like, oh, it was a blast.
Lucas, just imagine you're like, just
oh my God, I went behind a prop, threw up, and then just kept playing.
Oh my!
It started with one person. As it does, you know, it's like a zombie, you know. It's like start one person, then just go and infect everybody else. But
yeah,
no, I don't think that's what it was. It had something to do with the water, Savannah, the drinking water, right?
The water at the hotel or something like that. I don't even know.
It's weird because I didn't get sick. I drank out of that water. I drank out of the water out of the rehearsals, our rehearsal site at the church, New Covenant Church. But man, and that morning of semis, we didn't rehearse that first block. We were scheduled to, but no, we took it as like a rest block. The staff told us like, no, you guys need a rest, and so like everybody just went off.
Finals day.
No, it was totally semis. It was totally semis. I remember it because it was daytime. Yeah, but people still felt like shit on finals day, but not as much. But yeah, during that rehearsal, we took it off, and everybody just went and rested. For those of us who weren't sick, I remember I was one of those. I was like, all right, kick back, take a nap, you know.
Yeah.
It was so rejuvenating. Yes, it's so rejuvenating. You know, because like you don't think about this, but like throughout the season, you know, at least in WGI, you only rehearse on the weekends. You know, and so Ohio, when we fly out to Ohio, it's the only time where you rehearse like every day, you know, like leading up to the shows pretty much. And that's it. And so like for some people who are new to the activity, and at least for me in 2015, I was like, man, I don't know if I could keep up. My hands were like raw. I'm not sure if you guys experienced that, right? Like with the webbing of your hands, it's like, it's not used to taking that much every day, you know, and especially for like 3 blocks. And so, but anyways, yeah, puke percussion. 2017.
Did you guys say it was water from a church?
No, it wasn't the church. It was a hotel that we stayed at. Because after that, we didn't go there anymore. We started going to a campsite. Like, like summer camp when you send your kids off for like a month or two. And they're all sharing cabins. Yeah, we were all in a cabins, some campsite. It was great. We're all in bunk beds. And
the next year, yeah, starting 2018, yeah, that's when we started the cabins.
It's great.
Posted, and so yeah, we're all just like stuck in a big old cabin, like 25 of us, the whole battery, and it was a lot of fun.
Damn, that a lot of fun. That reminds me a lot of Trafalgar, Lucas. You know, in the cabins. Madison Scouts. Actually, every year for Madison Scouts, for spring training, they would stay in cabins. So, like, the battery had their own cabin, and we just rehearse just in the middle of nowhere. So.
Oh yeah, it was like some farmers camp. Yeah, it was pretty funny.
Farmers camp.
Yeah, it was where like kids would go to learn how to be farmers. I think.
I did not know that.
Yeah, because there's just like all these open fields.
Yeah, the fields we'd kill. Yeah, we'd kill the fields with all the field lining and stuff.
Like the grass was dead by the time we were done.
Oh man,
it was nasty.
Yeah, we'd have our last performance of spring training, and then like all the paint's gone, but you still know where everything is because it's just this orange grass, just outlining where all the spray paint was. So, actually, I have I have another question. Savannah, did you get the illness?
I did not.
Wow.
I don't know why I was so lucky, but I did not get sick. Yeah.
So neither of you guys got sick.
Not both of us, no. But I tell you what, though, it sucked to see our friends, puke all over the place.
I'm like, you guys go over there if you need anything.
Yeah,
I'll be over there.
Definitely quarantined back then.
The OG quarantine.
The OG, that's right. And Jesus. No, but it did suck, to see your friends, and they knew, the whole ensemble knew that we had to go and perform. Just, well, we're gonna cancel the show. Like, no, like, and everybody just suited up, and they knew what had to be done, and so we did. And I just remember like the staff after the show, and they couldn't believe that we went and did that. Especially some of the audience members who knew what was happening, like behind the scenes, who knew that most of the ensemble was sick. They're like, I couldn't believe they just pulled that off, and that was like, oh, that was your best performance, and
yeah,
blah blah blah. It was.
I mean, I think it was. I think I remember it being one of our best performances, and I was just like, but why does everybody have to be sick for it to be such a good performance?
I mean, you guys really looked the part. Like,
oh yeah. It was all part of the show. It was all part of like the theme and everything. It was for the show.
That little
commitment.
Man, I actually, in that semi show, because like I wear contacts. I'm not wearing them right now, but I believe it was that semi show. There's a part of the show where I remember like we had this choreography where like my head is like just looking straight forward, but all of our eyeballs had to like just look straight up, just look up. And in that moment of the show, it was somewhere in the ballad where in that moment, my contact, my right one, popped out, and I felt it like go like on my cheek, and I was like, oh, I'm never seeing that thing again. It's like, I pay I don't know how much for these contacts, and then went off and started doing the rest of the show. I was like a cyclone. Only see out of one eye.
Oh my God, that's so funny, because I've had something very similar, except it was in rehearsal. And I think, Lucas, it might have been 2020. Do you remember how my eyes were like really, really dry? But we had this one juggle before COVID hit where basically our eyes were down and like we were doing like a juggle. So like on top of not having one contact in, then you're doing a juggle that you're not even like looking at. So it's
oh yeah, we had body where our head moved to look off to the side, and then they made us keep the juggle in. So we like weren't allowed to look at it. But also, I think, weren't you like reusing those contacts for a while because you didn't have any more?
Oh yeah.
So they're like old.
Yeah, they're crusty. I use dailies, but I mean, since COVID, I haven't bought contacts in over a year. But I think I was down to like my last week's pair, and I wanted to make sure I had like enough for like, I don't know, like the next week or two or something like that. So I was like reusing a daily, and it just said, yep, we're popping out. It's time. So, yeah. But going back to the Pulse conversation, because we still didn't really answer the question about the whole performance thing, but I guess first let's talk about this. So this kind of mindset you guys had, like, I'm sure there's a lot of people, because some people, they perform and like they like, I don't know, broke their arm during the show, but they go through the entire show. So I mean, I'm sure you guys can't speak on their behalfs, but I mean, we've all had some kind of experience where like for me, for example, I've definitely like did a visual and like rip something up, like something me and Lucas do all the time. We open up skin because we flip really, really hard or something like that. And then, you go through the show just, bleeding and stuff. But I feel like as cymbal players, like especially through experience, you just are so used to it at some point where like the performance, it's, it's like you got to like differentiate the two. I'm just kind of curious on like what your guys' thoughts are on that.
I'm pretty sure Albert and I are thinking about the same story right now.
Oh yeah. Yes, we are.
Yeah. Albert, it's your story.
Sure. I feel like I don't tell her often, because, we're not in season, but I'll definitely share it with you guys. Man, I was SCPA finals. It's like the last California show before we fly off to Ohio. And performing the show, and within the last like minute, or last like 40 seconds of the show, we have this drill move where the cymbal line is like going across the back, and it's like this big old moment where if you guys think about the show, where the drapes from the back are tossed over, and then you see all this blood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's that moment, and so like it's going all crazy for a second, and so the cymbal line's going across in the back, and the bass line is coming our direction, so we're going opposite directions, and so during that part of the show, the bass line was just a little too far back, like barely. And and so we also made a change. We had a visual, we had a symbol. We made a change, like I think like the day prior to the show in that weekend, where we changed something like, all right, instead of like doing a regular like standard flat crash, we're gonna do like a drop crash, right? We're gonna do a drop crash. And so in that moment, I totally forgot that we made that change. And as soon as I remembered that moment, I was already too late, because bass 5 was running this way, and he hit my cymbal. He totally he hit my cymbal, and my cymbal decked me like right here at the top of my nose, and like decked me. But I didn't know that happened. For me, what I felt was like, I'm about to play this crash right now, right? And it's like, you're just going through the show, right? You're performing, and all of a sudden everything just went black. Everything just went black. I was like, what? And I opened my eyes, and my neck, I kid you not, this is what it felt like. My neck, it felt like I was looking up at the ceiling, right? This was like really high, and I was like, ow. I was like, what just happened? And I pulled my head back. This is what it felt like. Pull my head back, and then I just feel like excruciating pain coming from my nose, and then you start to feel the blood coming down from both my nostrils. And I remember just screaming like in pain, but still going through the show. Turns out, I went back and watched the video. I didn't like, my feet were in time the whole time. Like you just see me. It looks like a little whiplash. My mom was recording. Thank God, I able to like zoom in and see what happened. And like if you look at it, just like somebody like smacked me in the head really fast. Like, what just happened? And then I just go right back into it. We have like tap chokes. We just go right back into performing, and so my nose pretty much became like a faucet for blood. Like it just wouldn't stop, and I was like, man, I remember like thinking right before the ending crash, I was like, I hope somebody gets a picture of this. It's cool. It's cool, man. And so obviously we have the big old red tarp right at the end of the show. Well, I was in charge of holding down one of the corners of that tarp. And so obviously the show is still going on, it can't stop. And I remember just looking like and seeing all my blood fall like onto the floor. And I was like, I don't know what to do. So I just went my arm like this, and we had CYMBAL gloves in 2017. I just remember seeing the blood disperse like throughout my glove. And it was, I was like, wow. I was like, man, I was thinking, it was like, this sucks, but this is pretty cool at the same time, So I'll definitely remember this, And as soon as the show ended, I remember putting my cymbals, I put them away where we're supposed to, and I just ran out of there. To go find help, get napkins or whatever. And so that's the story. That's the story of pretty much performing still, right? It's like, I thought my nose was broken. I really did. I was like, man, it's like super swelled up. And my mom, after the retreat, my mom took me over to the hospital, and everybody's looking at me all weird because I have the costume on, and I even we have like the lanyard, the medal, and everybody's looking at me like, what the who's this guy?
And the makeup.
Yeah, the makeup,
black eyes,
and everything.
Yes.
This guy.
Some of the guys we know from MCM, they're saying, because like in 2017 they had to like shave their head and all that stuff. Like I guess they're like they're at work or something like that, and then all of them were just oh no they were getting back from a show, and just I guess they went out to eat somewhere, and then all of them just just bald, just all this makeup and these costumes. Like, oh my god, I love those stories where like costume out somewhere. It's the best.
And we actually we met the MCM 2017 cymbal line in Ohio, And it was just like, it was just a cool moment. We were talking to them for a little bit without, obviously they don't have their masks. And and they're like really tall. They're like super tall. I don't know why. I feel like every symbol line on the East Coast is just much taller than everybody on the West Coast. No
I feel,
why.
oh my God. No, I feel like it's the opposite. Like I look at, God, I mean, it goes along the intensity thing we were talking about, but like, I look at like Vanguard and I'm just like, God dang, you guys are tall. But I guess going off just the whole performance thing we've been talking about though, like that's the thing. When you're in a show, like oh my God, first off, it's not a cymbal line unless, you know, at some point during the season you get hit by a bass drum. I think it happens every season to every line, but like you always just have to get back into what you're doing, you know, regardless. Like, I mean, that story is just insane, but like, you know, like you cut yourself, you know, you trip and fall, like it's all about that recovery and just staying with that character. So,
yeah, definitely. There's actually, Savannah, you want to tell them the story about how we sort of created like the post 2017 cymbal feature?
Ooh. Oh my gosh! You mean with the whole laying
with the
down
choreo? Yeah.
Oh, the choreo! Oh my gosh! I don't even remember it, honestly. I just remember performing. I don't remember putting it together.
Are you talking about like the cymbal splits that you guys did?
No, it was so much more like, because obviously when we got our music, right? And so like the first few shows we're just like legit just straight up standing there and like just like move spooky is what they told us, right? Like just sway. It's like, what does that mean?
It was so
like,
bad.
And so we're just like, whatever, all right, cool, let's do our thing. And like it just looks so lame. I remember our instructor Derek was just like, guys, like right after the show, he's like, we need to change, we need to fix this, we need to do something about this. Yeah. And so that season, it was a lot of fun too, because we also didn't meet up every weekend. We scheduled weekly rehearsals outside of the weekend. So we always met up on like a Wednesday or something like that, Wednesday, Thursday. And so during one of those days, that's where we started to create the choreography for the 2017 cymbal feature. And so we're just at a park, like, I mean, we just got our cymbal bags, put them on the ground, and like just started like trying to come up with stuff. And so we just started off with we thought it was a cool idea to start off on the ground laying down and eventually just rise up. And so we just worked it out from there, you know, with the count structure. And it was a lot of fun putting that together. And so that once we actually got it down, it was just so much fun. It was just so much fun to be able to perform that. And I'm sure you guys remember, you know, seeing that. What were you guys' thoughts, you know, seeing that cymbal feature in Ohio?
So I don't really remember much of the body, but I do remember the splits. And I think the way that the music, or the way that your splits went with the music during that moment, like, I think that's one of my favorite splits in WGI. Besides, like, I liked RCC split when they did the like Dragonfly show or whatever. But I remember you guys did you guys do split tap chokes?
Mm-hmm.
Like towards the end of it? I remember hearing that, and it was just like, oh, it just sounded so good. And the way that it went with the music, it just stuck with me.
Yeah, I remember that also, now thinking about it. And I'm surprised I didn't put this in my notes of something to talk about. That was actually the one thing that I was going to say that I admire most, minus this whole East Coast and West Coast blend, or like just offhand. But I think out of every cymbal line I know, I think that's the one thing I can credit Pulse with, is you guys have like really good sounding splits. Like there's some lines you listen to splits and it's just like, yeah, it's a lot, but it's not like clean, you know? But like, I think with Pulse, there's always been that like from 17 to 19 where we left off. Like, I think there's like from every line I've seen of Pulse, anytime I hear like a cymbal feature and there's like splits, it just always sounds clean, you know?
They're tasteful splits, which I think is what sets them apart from like other groups where they're just like, oh, let's play really fast. You guys do tasteful splits and they go with the music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't take credits because I'm not the one writing the music.
You're playing well.
Yeah, you're playing them.
But, however, though, like we do, the members sometimes, I think it's mainly from the instructors, like they want to like tweak it, tweak the sounds, they'll tweak the sounds like, oh, let's not play a press it, let's play a tap or something. And even then we'll go off of that. Like instead of playing a full speed tap choke, we'll only play it for like an eighth note, so it was just a lot of fun performing that cymbal feature, the whole show, but like during that moment, it's just like, it's obviously, you just hear vocals, right? You just hear the samples, and then the cymbal feature, the cymbal I'm playing, and you can't just like, your eyes are drawn to that, and what's happening there. And I still, to this day, that was like the loudest like roar I ever heard in that arena. And I've been in that arena many times, but like actually being on the floor and like when after playing that clean like 16 note tap chokes down the line, and I just remember like it felt like I was standing right in front of like a bass, like a subwoofer, and just shaking my insides. Dude, that's what it felt like. I was just like, what? It really did. And then we just go and finish off the rest of the show, And so it was a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
Lucas, so real quick, because I want to make sure we're on track. How much time we got left?
We are at 50 minutes right now.
Oh, Lord.
Nice.
Wow. Jesus. So, I mean, I'm sure you guys know by now, we split this into 2 parts. I'm not even going to edit me asking you, but cool. So the last thing I actually want to talk about, which is something Albert brought up, and Lucas, if we go to like 15, 20 minutes longer, it is what it is. But, I think this is important because you brought this up and I was like, what the hell are you talking about? Like, you're talking about this like push and pull concept. I don't know what you're talking about. So I guess if you want to like explain it.
Sure. Yeah. To be honest, like those 2 concepts, over here in the West Coast, to be honest, Savannah and I got introduced to that pull technique last year as instructors, not as members, not when we were marching. And so we were both like, what is that? Because we've only ever been taught the push technique. However, it was never taught to us like, oh, you're doing the push technique. Like, no, it was more so in terms of actually doing it. Like, you're going to push through the cymbal,
It's just what you do.
Yeah. It was never
a title with it.
Yeah. And if I'm being honest, I've only ever marched really that one technique everywhere. As soon as I started, the members at PAL 2015 kept telling me how lucky I was to sort of start like off a clean slate and learn this, and not have to like learn all these other techniques to try to like break out of those habits and stuff like that. They're like, no, you're learning from Derek. This is the sound quality guy. It's the sound guy. And but the pull technique, to be honest, I can't really elaborate on that because I never marched it. It was never taught to me, and so I only know the push technique.
I'm like trying to picture. Okay, so we're talking about sound quality. So when you're referring to push technique, you're talking about like the cymbals going out. Like when we're like, if we're just talking about crash, you're talking about like the cymbals going out. So if it was the pull technique, like I guess from what you guys were kind of explained, since you didn't really march it, the pull technique was like in.
Oh.
No, it's kind of like I think, because I never did it either. But the way that I understand it is kind of like what happens after the cymbals make contact, right? So with the push technique, you would push through the cymbal. You make a contact point here and you push through. Mm-hmm. And the other cymbal follows wherever the right hand's going. I think it's the same up until they to make contact and you pull back, right? Or you like... I don't know.
You're like saying right. You're like, I don't know, man.
I understand it, but like I've never done it. So I remember listening to people talk about it. And I'm just like, what? Why does that make sense though?
For me, I picture when I hear that, right, what I picture is in an orchestral setting. And so picture you're holding the cymbals, not actually like in the hands, right? You're just holding them by the straps. And when you prep and you go through it, right? You create the flam, right? But as soon as you create that flam, you sort of like pull away from that. Yeah, that's what I envision when I hear people talk about it. And so so that's what I think is what that pull technique is. I never actually learned it. And so I think that's sort of those two approaches that are being applied over here in the West Coast, with some instructors teaching that, and they might be teaching both. And so there might be a preference to like the push technique or the pull technique. But to be honest, I've only been taught the push technique, but it was never taught explained
as the push technique.
Yeah, as the push technique. No. And so
I mean, I was just gonna say, I mean, that's the way we were taught too. Push technique. I don't know what the hell a pull technique is, but I mean, I'm kind of interested. Like when I was thinking of pull, I was like, crash choke. Like I was so lost.
I thought it'd be like reverse, where it's like the left hand will come into the right and then just like go backwards. But I guess it's more of like a bounce off of each other. Like you make contact and then immediately move away, rather than like hitting through it like you're breaking through a wall. Where like in East Coast technique, we've always learned the push technique. I feel like probably everyone has. And I guess this pull thing is like relatively new for everyone.
Yeah, which actually I'm kind of curious. Because for us it'd be like, rather than like push, we'd say like, like out, like push out, like a crash that goes out. We wouldn't say push. It'd be more like, like we want a crash that goes out more. Actually, we say push out. I don't know what the hell I'm saying. But also like we also have
It's been a while.
Yeah, honestly. Oh my God, COVID. But then we also have like something like a dead crash, where like the cymbals just kind of come in contact, just like we call it dead crash because like there's no motion after, we get that flam contact. And like
we call it the dead crash as well.
Gotcha. Okay, so that's why I was actually wondering is if you guys also do dead crashes also.
Yes.
Cool. So what was the question you're asking, Lucas? Sorry.
Did I ask I don't remember.
I remember you said something and I interrupted you.
Oh no, I was saying that the poll thing is new to everyone. Like it's not something that's been around for years and we're just finding out about it. Is it new?
To be honest, it does feel like it's new. Like it just felt like somebody sort of almost created it, so to speak, it feels like, at least even here in the West Coast, it feels like just watching different lines. It feels like everybody kind of does their own thing. It's all under that like West Coast cymbal playing umbrella, but every instructor, every line, and the members, what it looks like they kind of want to create it their own. They don't want to do something that's what's already been done or I'm losing my words, but but something that's they've already seen before, and so they sort of like kind of make their own twist on it. You watch Broken City, they don't look the same as Dark Sky. You watch Dark Sky, they don't look the same as RCC cymbal players. So it's just like something just a little bit different here and there, which again, I enjoyed the variety, seeing that out here as well.
And I mean, that's the exact same thing on the East Coast, not talking from a sound quality standpoint. I mean, you can tell sound quality from like lines to lines, but from a visual perspective, like we all want to do our own thing that's unique to us creatively. Like we want to do something that pushes the boundary, which is why I brought up the concept of juggling, because like, offhand visuals or like cymbals on two hands, like that stuff's kind of been drilled for the past few years, but then juggling's been around for a little bit, but now we're at this point where juggling's now becoming this new innovative concept. Like we're getting, like I always joke about this, and I probably say this every podcast episode now, I always joke about that. We're going to get to a point where telepathy, kinesis, the cymbal's just going to float in midair. Like someone's going to invent that, But
some high schooler on Instagram is just going to start like floating their cymbals and everyone's going to be like, what the heck?
Actually, before I actually started playing cymbals and like looking up like cymbal lines, I remember when seeing CYMBAL gloves before they started doing like custom colors and stuff like that, when they used to be just black, right? They used to be black. And again, I wasn't a cymbal player, so when I looked at cymbal players and they have cymbals in their hands, I thought that the glove was a part of like the attachment to the cymbal, right? I sort of thought it was like this, like a Captain America shield type of thing. And like, I was like, that's so cool. I was like, look at that. And then I was like, oh, wait, no, I'm just dumb.
Oh my gosh.
But then I remember watching, because, I love Marvel, but I remember watching, I think it was Age of Ultron, right? Avengers Age of Ultron. And there's a quick little scene where I think Captain America like just holds his like arm out, and then his shield like just magnetically comes to him. And I was like, oh, that'd be so cool to have on a symbol line. Like, imagine we could do that with symbols, like
magnets.
Just magnets. Yeah, like hold up, it's like using the force.
I mean, dope. I in my 2016 for one of my high school shows, they did, and I think there's even I think we got it from another show, but like attaching like a bungee cord to the symbol so it like bounces.
I was just thinking about that. I think it was 2016 in the lot or something, or maybe it was in 15. But I remember looking around, I see the symbol line with like these attachments to their symbols, and they're like tossing it up in the air, and it's like bouncy, and I'm like, what is going on over there? I want to go see that.
Who was that?
I don't know. I can't remember. I just remember seeing it in the lot.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to whatever line that is, but I mean, this might even be too old to talk about, but I mean, North Coast Academy with the cymbal slide, I thought that was so cool. I mean, it probably was really loud, but like the effect was pretty darn cool,
Was that 2010, 2009? I don't remember.
I'm so young, man. I don't know.
Because I was in high school during that time, and so it's one of those YouTube videos where just like, oh, symbol lines or of 2010, blah, blah, blah. And so I remember featured North Coast Academy doing that slide thing. I was like, what the? I was like, what? I was like, that's a lot of symbol players, first off. And two, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like when you type in WGI 2010, everything that pops up, some show, but it's just dubstep, That was the dubstep era. Everyone had that music.
Yes. Matrix. Ah, man, that was a cool show. A cool show. We're 2010, right? Yeah, 2010.
All the paint.
Yes.
Yeah.
With all the paint.
But even like, didn't George Mason have like a semi dubstep show in like 2013 or something?
Yeah. Go.
Yeah.
They won open class.
Yeah.
Shout out to them.
Yeah. So who knows?
Well, with that, we are at 1 hour. So this has been a really awesome time talking with you guys. I think this is probably one of our most fun episodes that we've done.
I mean, it's the West Coast ones, man, because like we grew up with the East Coast nature. Like we don't know much about West Coast, so it's always nice to get a whole, like, because at least for East Coast, it's like you at least know someone, and like there's always that commonality, but like on the West Coast, like if I were to reach out to Savannah, like I'd have no idea what the correlations are, what I'm saying? So
yeah.
No, yeah, honestly, like the only time it ever felt like when we were marching, the only time it felt like I would communicate with lines from the East Coast was when we were actually in Ohio. And so, and even then it was just so limited. It was such small talk. And it was during those times where we're like, the pole symbol line was walking by, and then we just happened to see Rhythm X and Chelsea, and was like, oh, hey, and we just started talking, and so then we'll take a quick picture or something like that, and then just go off, to do whatever it is we had to do.
Yeah. Cool. But Lucas, you can,
All right. With every episode, we always ask, and we get to ask it 2 times now. We always say, before we end the episode, what is one thing you would like to say to all the symbol players out there? You can go first, Albert.
One thing I would love to say to all symbol players, to not only strive to be great at your craft, to like learn, and really strive to be the best at what you're doing, but to also be humble to also be humble with yourself and with everybody around you, to respect other groups for doing things that are different. That's
Amen to that.
Definitely what I can say.
Yeah.
Savannah?
What I want to say, I'm going to say specifically for all the female players out there, because I've gotten a lot of them message me during my time marching, was don't ever give up and don't let anybody tell you that you can't do what this dude over here or whatever can do. You can always do it. Sometimes you can do it even better. So don't give up. Just do your best and focus only on yourself getting better, because you know what? Who cares about them? You're working on you.
Some great answers here.
And so, just so you guys know, Savannah's like the tiniest CYMBAL player you'll probably ever meet.
I don't know. We marched with Molly Gormley.
Yeah, we I think it was podcast 7 or something like that. We marched with someone from GMU, and she's really short also. So
wait, Savannah, how tall are you?
I'm 5 feet.
5 flat. Oh, wow.
I think Molly's 5, like definitely maybe 5'3" or something. I'm just taking a guess here, but
she's gonna watch this and then message us immediately and be like, I'm like 5, whatever.
Yeah, definitely. I'm 5 feet over here. I think I've met like 2 people who are smaller than me, but they're in high school, so I'm just like, you have time, hopefully.
Yeah, I remember having students in teaching at high school, the high school level. I invited them to come out to I think it was like our little Pulse PAL preview show, right? They have never seen a show in person, and first of all, they're also being introduced to like the activity, and so naturally, your students want to come see you. But once they saw Savannah, there were girl CYMBAL players. There's 2 of them in my high school line. Once they saw Savannah, they all they did was watch her. They didn't care about me, And so from then on, they became like, they became fans of watching Savannah throughout the years. Up until she aged out in 2019.
But yeah, so, that's why I say, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm a 5-foot little Asian girl. I can do it. You can do it. Come on.
Yeah, man. And
on the West Coast with the heavy cymbals.
Yeah.
And Savannah has like the man. She flips her cymbals so fast, like it's crazy.
I don't know about now. Definitely not now.
Oh, you know what? Something else I remembered. You guys talked about it on the podcast with Jack. You talked about how everybody in the West Coast, you just think that maybe that everybody marches 20-inch cymbals. Well, actually, at Pulse, Savannah marched 18-inch cymbals.
Yes.
I think you start off with 19s, I think, in PAL, right?
Yeah, it was kind of like I marched 19s in high school and in PAL. And they're just like, hey, you're really short. Let's put you on 18s. And I was just like, I don't like that idea. So I stuck with 19s in POW. And then when I went to Pulse, they're just like, yeah, it's probably best that you get put on 18 so you can actually do the technique to its fullest and not be cut off anywhere. So that's why I was put on 18s.
Yeah, I mean, we preach the same thing. Like if you need to go down the sides, like there's, like some people even say because it's sound quality, but
Yeah, no, definitely. And with 19s, I get bruises everywhere because they're just, I prep back like 2 inches and boom, I get a bruise. So it was best. It was for the best.
Definitely. Once again, thank you, Savannah and Albert, for being on this episode. It was a blast. I mean, it's always a blast with everyone we have on. So yeah. I think by the time this episode will be out, we'll be taking like a 2-week break because, Lucas and I are graduating from college and we just want to, take a sec to really, situated.
Thanks.
So, when this is out, we'll be gone for about, I don't know, like a week, couple weeks, few weeks, just kind of get our lives together after we graduate. But we'll be back with the podcast as soon as all that is squared away. But once again, I said it already. Thank you, Savannah and Albert, and we'll see you guys in the next episode of the Flip Up Podcast.
Thank you, guys. It was a lot of fun.
Guys.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah.